Hello students, welcome to our first lecture. For those of you who may not be familiar with my style, before we get started, I just want to give a brief description how these lectures typically go. The first thing I want you to do, if you have not already, and this is going to be true for every lecture, please press pause and print the lecture notes. And this is not mandatory, but it's kind of my style. Highlight all the vocabulary words. And at the top of the paper, please write Lecture 1. Okay, so with that in mind, usually what I do, guys, by the way, this is my copy. It's exactly the same as yours. I just enlarged the font so I can read it better. My eyesight is going downhill as I reach middle age. But typically, guys, what I do is give you the part of speech, noun, verb, adjective, a brief definition, and an example or two. So, are you ready? I've got a good one for you. Let's get started. The first one, team. Please say it with me. Team. The pronunciation is identical to sports team. In English, we call that a homonym, where the pronunciation is identical, but the spelling and the meaning are different. Anyway, you don't have to know that, but teaming. Please say it with me. Teaming. In my mind, I will give you a technical definition, but just when I hear the word team, it means full of life, overflowing with life, busy with life. What do I have here? Let's see here. Completely full, especially with living things. I have some examples. Myeongdong, before the pandemic, was teeming with tourists. I have another example. And guys, this comes right from your handout, so just follow along with me. A river teeming with fish. What does that mean? A river teeming with fish. Well, a river full of fish, literally. Let's see here. Oceans. Our oceans are teeming with life. 예쁘다. Jellyfish. Oh, guys, you know that I'm a political science major, but 100 years ago, when I was a freshman, my major was biology. It's true. All of my classes were chemistry, physics, microbiology, and anyway, I wasn't very happy and I changed my major. But anyway, before I did, I remember one of my classes, we went outside and we went to a pond and we got a sample of some pond water, just a few drops, like the eye droplets, very little. And then we took this pond water and we put it under a microscope. It was teeming with microorganisms. And like the surfaces we touch and the ground we walk on, our bodies are teeming with bacteria. One more example, guys, and I'm thinking about it because I'm on campus. By the way, a lot of our lectures are filmed at Gyeonggi-dae. Don't tell anyone, that's our secret. It's so peaceful and beautiful here. It's just a great place to make a video lecture. Anyway, campus. Campus is teeming with activity. So there's students walking around, professors, administrators, ajumas, ajushis walking around. Campus is teeming. You can say with life or with activity, but you can just make a short sentence and say campus is teeming. Just means busy. In Korean, 충만하다. I guess that means full. Bagel galinen. Bagel galinen. Waggle galinen. Buzzing noisily. I like that. Waggle galinen. My dear students, as a bonus, typically I try to find the Korean translation. I go to a secret website called Naver Dictionary, but the truth is, guys, I'm scared to death. I will accidentally give my students a poor translation. So please don't be lazy. Look these vocabulary words up, and if I ever give a translation that is awkward or does not match the definition or examples that I'm using, please don't be shy. Let me know in an email and say, Scott, I think you mean this word. I won't be mad. In fact, you can help me make a better lecture for next semester or next year. I really value your input. Okay, so guys, teeming, full of life, usually with living things, people, animals, anything, but full, abundantly full, buzzing noisily. The streets were teeming with tourists, full of. Okay, moving on, guys. This next one is a good one. I want you to know it. Please repeat after me. Ambidextrous. Oh, with me, together. Ambidextrous. Ambidextrous. It means being able to use both hands equally well. Let's see here. Sometimes a teacher will have a student who is ambidextrous. And here's a young girl, looks like she's writing a chemistry equation with chalk. Are you ambidextrous? I certainly am not. Have you ever tried to write your name with your left hand? Or if you're left-handed, write your name with your right? It feels funny. Students, I must tell you, whenever I hear the word ambidextrous, I do think about pen and pencil, but remember, what is the meaning of ambidextrous? Has nothing to do with writing. That's just one example. Ambidextrous means using both hands equally well. So, I'm trying to think of another example. Maybe a musical instrument. He or she can play the violin or the guitar equally well with their left or their right hand. This is not the best example, but sometimes in sports, an athlete is ambidextrous. They're able to use their left as well as their right equally well. Are you ambidextrous? What does ambidextrous mean? Using both hands equally well. I wish I was ambidextrous. In Korean, Young Son Jabili. Okay, moving on, guys. This next one is a good one, and I think I introduced this last semester, but maybe you have forgotten and you're certainly not using it as often as I would like. It's an adjective. Please repeat after me. Ubiquitous. You, like you and me. Ubiquitous. Ubiquitous. Good. A little faster. Ubiquitous. Ubiquitous. Ubiquitous, in my own mind, it just means everywhere. Something that is found, seen, or heard everywhere. As a matter of fact, on your handout, you don't have to do this, guys, but you can see on mine, I underlined it. Appearing or found everywhere. Appearing or found everywhere. And on your handout, guys, I list some kind of simple examples. In a large city, taxis are ubiquitous. During the pandemic, face masks are ubiquitous. Starbucks, I love Starbucks, but let's be honest, they are ubiquitous. Sometimes, I'm sure you've seen this, there are two, one across the street from one another. It's very convenient, but it's unbelievably ubiquitous. What are some other examples? Ubiquitous. Oh, of course, smartphones are ubiquitous. Gimbap Changguk. Can you think of any examples, something that's ubiquitous? Let's see here. Oh, okay, I have an example. Coupang. This truck, I'm seeing this everywhere. This Coupang truck is now ubiquitous. This is not the best photo, but these scooters, you see that? Yogi? These scooters are now ubiquitous. As some of you know, guys, I broke my ankle in January, so I'm a little scared to ride one. Have you ever ridden one of these scooters? I see them everywhere. They are ubiquitous. Couple more examples, guys. UJ Sock. I love UJ Sock. UJ Sock, his image is ubiquitous. He does a lot of endorsements, for example, like vitamin drink, and I have an application on my smartphone. My bank is Woori Bank, and every time I check my balance, how much money I have, I see his picture. His image is undeniably ubiquitous. Hey guys, my Korean is not very good, but someone taught me some slang, which I want to share with you now. I heard UJ Sock has a high body price, meaning he is expensive. I thought that was funny. High body price. One more example, guys. Where is it? I have stuff everywhere. My dear students, I got this just for you. This t-shirt, Lee, this brand, is becoming ubiquitous. I'm not sure why. I think it's a new item in Korea, and I see it almost every day. Do you have one? This is mine. I just bought it for you. When I was at the store, I asked the sales associate, I said, why is it so popular in Korea? And he said it was, and his exact words were, retro, meaning kind of like old. And I thought, oh my God, I'm a dinosaur, because I vividly remember kids wearing this in middle school. So the fact that this is now popular because it's old makes me feel old. Anyway, my dear students, the next time you see Lee on the sidewalk, please think about me and how the t-shirt and all the other examples we've talked about are ubiquitous. They are found, seen everywhere. By the way, I think in all of the examples I've mentioned, they are physical objects, well, except UJ sock. But I remember when I came to Korea in 2007, I heard a song. It was by the pop star Son Dam-bi. I know her fame has kind of faded, but when I first came to Korea, I kept hearing this song called Michasa, and I heard it hundreds of times on the sidewalk, in the store. Michasa, Michasa. I had never heard of Son Dam-bi or Michasa, but that song was ubiquitous on the radio. Okay, so that's that. Ubiquitous. Something seen, found, or heard all over the place, everywhere. What's next? Oh, ubiquitous in Korean. 도처에 있는? I don't think my pronunciation's very good. 도처에 있는? 있는? Or alternatively, 편재하는. That one is easier for me. It just means everywhere. Or a word that I did not mention, omnipresent. Just means everywhere. Omnipresent. Okay, so that's ubiquitous. Look at the next one, guys. This one is easy. It's a noun. Tint. Please say it with me. Tint. And with your pen or pencil, I've since lost mine. You don't have to do this, guys, but in my own paper, I underlined it. A small amount of color. That's it. A small amount of color. So by late September, the leaves on the trees have begun to take on their normal autumn tint. 이해했어요? Like so. Autumn tint. What does that mean, autumn tint? Well, literally, they're autumn colors. So, red, orange, yellow. And guys, if you look at the leaves now, it's not late September, but you can already tell, like, the edge of the leaf is starting to turn. This is a more colorful example of tint. It does not have to be leaves. Sometimes, I don't know, a car could be passing, and if you ask me, what color is it? I don't know. It has a greenish tint. 이해했어요? In Korean, I think it's sekjo. Sekjo? Of course, you could use this for clothing, or here's a photograph of a pair of blue tinted glasses. Okay, so that's tint. Moving on. Next one, easy. It's an adjective. You already know it. Titanic. Titanic. We all know the story of the tragedy of the Titanic, which sank in April 1912. But here we're using it as an adjective. Let's see here. Of enormous size, strength, power, or scope. Okay. Guys, you might want to underline each one of those. Of enormous size, strength, power, and scope. I admit when I hear the word Titanic, I just think huge, but it has a more complex definition. Monumental, gigantic. Look at the example. Of all the evergreens, so it's a kind of tree, of all the evergreens that tower in America's forests, none can surpass the height and girth, that just means like thickness, of the Titanic redwoods. They're in California. Students, I'm from Florida. I've never been to California. Indeed, there are many places in my own country I've never traveled to. But if I could travel, if I could take like a road trip, there are some famous national parks in the US state of California. And there's a forest full of huge trees. Students, I want to show you a photograph. This is not photoshopped. It's the trunk of a tree and two kids. I just want to show you it. Whoa! Daybok! Look at that. I would really like to visit here. Anyway, needless to say that the trees themselves are titanic. In Korean, I think it's Godaehan. Look at that, one more example, guys. Even mighty warships were endangered by the titanic waves that rose like mountains above them. It can also be used kind of metaphorically, Godaehan Tujang, like a titanic conflict or titanic struggle. Okay, so that's Titanic. This next one, you're probably unfamiliar with it, but it's not hard. Please repeat after me. Archetype. Please say it with me. Archetype. Archetype. This is a noun. You don't have to know this, but the adjective is archetypal. Just in my own mind, guys, archetype means perfect example of a person or thing. That's it. It's not a hard word, but it is fine English. Archetype. What do I have here? The ideal example of a particular type of person or thing. My dear students, look at the third example. I circled it on my paper. You see where I am? 1, 2, 3. Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes was an archetype. Perfect example. Sherlock Holmes was an archetype of a clever detective who always solves the case. Here's a photograph of British actor Benedict Cumberbatch portraying Sherlock. Do you like this series? Sometimes I watch Sherlock on Netflix. I really enjoy it. I wish I was as clever and as well dressed as he. You could say Scott is the archetypal professor. But grammatically it's correct, but in reality, I don't know. I'm not sure what the archetypal professor is or looks like, so. But anyway, it's good English. Archetype? In Korean? Jeonhyun? Do you know that? Jeonhyun? Archetype. Ooh, good English. Look at the next one. It's a noun. This word is easy and very fine English. Advent. Please say it with me. Advent. It just means, in my own mind, guys, Advent, the creation of something. Key word, creation. The creation of something. Could be anything. The creation of something, and usually something historic. Now, on your paper, I have arrival. That's true also. But just in my own mind, when I hear Advent, I think the creation of something. So, for example, and I have how many examples? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have several listed on your paper, but there must be hundreds, if not thousands. So, for example, transportation was transformed by the advent, the creation, of the internal combustion engine. The advent of the internet. What does that mean? The creation of the internet. So since the advent of the internet, the world has become much closer. There are so many things we don't even think about it, guys. The advent of the aeroplane or jets. Travel has accelerated since the advent or creation of jet airplanes. The advent of smartphones has dramatically changed how we communicate, navigate, work, and entertain ourselves. In Korean, I'm not real sure. Dore, or alternatively, chulhyun? Maybe dore is better. Can you think of anything, an example of Advent? Again, it's hard only because there's so many. Advent. Can you think of an example? The advent of blank. I have just one example. It's an easy one. We don't even think about it. The advent of the light bulb. We just take it for granted. Changed everything. Can you think of an example? Find it on the test. Okay, couple more and we'll be finished, guys. This next one, you may not be familiar, but it's not hard. Truncate. Please say it with me. Truncate. Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. One more time, a little louder. Truncate. Truncate, guys, it means to shorten. I'll give you a technical definition, but very simply just means to shorten. Shorten something by cutting off the top or the end. And I don't know why, guys. I often associate words with pictures, and the word truncate, it always makes me think of an elephant. It has nothing to do with Africa or elephants, but if you need help remembering, just think about trunk or truncate. I know it's not very nice, but it's just a word association. Look at the example. A family emergency forced us to truncate our summer vacation. What does that mean? A family emergency forced us to truncate our vacation. Shorten. That's it. So our vacation was 10 days, but because of a family emergency, we we're forced to truncate our vacation to 6 days or whatever. Look at the other example. I'm trying to truncate my speech, or I need to truncate my speech. It's too long. I need to truncate my speech. Shorten. Okay, this is really difficult for me to pronounce in Korean. I will try for you. Gi, li, lo, ju, li, da. Phew. Do you understand? Truncate? What does truncate mean? To shorten something. That's it. Truncate. Okay. This next one might be the hardest one on our list today. It's not really that hard, but well, let's discuss it. It's an adjective. Please repeat after me. Perceptible. Again, with me. Perceptible. Good. Perceptible. Able to be seen or noticed. I have some synonyms. Don't write them on the test. You guys see where I am here? Noticeable, discernible, observable. I did not write this on your paper because I didn't want to confuse you, but it relates to the 5 senses. So sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. The 5 senses we perceive. So able to be seen or noticed. Look at the first example. There was no perceptible improvement in the patient's condition, despite the doctor's best efforts to treat the infection. So let me say that once more. There was no perceptible improvement. What does that mean? There was no perceptible improvement. In plain English, guys, there was no noticeable improvement in the patient's condition. So the doctor tried to help, tried to treat him or her, but unfortunately the treatment failed and there was no perceptible or discernible or noticeable improvement. 이해했어요? Look at the second example. The 2 candidates, and by the way, guys, this comes right from your paper here. The 2 political candidates, the 2 candidates are working hard to get voter support. But in my opinion, there's no perceptible difference between them. Interesting. No perceptible difference between the 2 political candidates. Sometimes I hear students talk about political candidates, and it reminds me of Migook. I personally do not agree, but there are people who say there's no perceptible difference between Republicans and Democrats. And I suppose they do agree on many things, but they emphasize the things they disagree about. So there's no perceptible difference, so no discernible. Like, I can't tell the difference between a Democratic candidate and a Republican candidate. Again, that's not my personal view, but that view does exist. One more. This is the third one, guys. Her foreign accent was barely perceptible, barely audible or noticeable. What is this in Korean? Perceptible? 감지할 수 있는? Or alternatively, 인지할 수 있는? One more example. There was a perceptible change in the audience's mood. Interesting. So for example, a play, a perceptible change. What does that mean in plain English? Noticeable, observable, detectable. Let's see here. Okay. I'm going to show you a very famous landmark, and I want you to identify it. Okay. What is it? Do you see it? Yogi. It's just barely perceptible. Come on, take a guess. I don't know. I didn't know either. All right, this one, I'll give you a hint. It's very foggy. Can you see it? Still, just barely perceptible. Yes, it's the famous Clock Tower in London, otherwise known as Big Ben. Here's the first one once more. The clock tower is just barely perceptible in the thick fog, London fog. All right, guys, I guess I'll stop the video here. Oh, wait, there's one more word. I'll go over it very quickly, guys. It's easy. It's an adjective, humdrum. Please say it with me. Humdrum. Humdrum. It just means boring. Ordinary, dull, routine, and without any variation. It's the same every day. If you describe someone or something as humdrum, you mean they are ordinary, dull, or boring. Look at the second example. I circled it on my paper. You see where I am? Any job. Any job. I hope not your job. Any job can seem humdrum after a while, and it can be hard to find a way out of your daily routine. What does that mean? Or look at the next example. Another humdrum day at the office. Another dull day, or routine, boring, same old, same old. It's the same every day. In Korean, I'm not sure. Danjo ro woon? Dabun han? Guys, I hope you do not think my lectures are humdrum. I know you say no now, but maybe at the end of the semester, you might conclude Scott's lectures are humdrum. All right, guys, really, I'll stop it here. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.